Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast sports investors. It's your breakfast bankroll. And I just realized something. It's Friday, May 13th. Friday the 13th. OMG, I don't remember the last Friday the 13th. It's been a while. 2022, almost halfway through this month already. In what, 17, 18 days, we'll be talking about June. Jesus, these days, weeks, months, they fly by. Quite the busy time of year. I keep saying that, but there's just so much going on. With the NBA and the NHL playoffs, the daily grind of MLB, of course. Yesterday, the NFL. There we go. The NFL schedule comes out, and it was being leaked all over. But the amazing part is that, in a nutshell, uh, the odds are now start coming up for first week. I mean, Superbook and Westgate, John Murray and Jeff Sherman out there, hats off. You blink and there's the first week numbers. And it's good to talk about. I'm not one of these guys that, it's May. So June, July, August, September, if you want a book to hold your money for 4 months because you got the best of the number, God bless you. I'm not one of those guys. I'll talk about it, but I'm not one of those. As we get along through the summer, excuse me, we'll be talking futures on this show. Earlier this week, we talked about a future with Julian Edlow of DraftKings, the Colts, even money right now to win that. Now, if you went to the window right now and you put a couple dollars on the Colts to win the division at even money, they're going to be holding your money to January. So again, a lot of people, what I suggest is you have a couple accounts, and in your main account, you talk to whoever, and you get like a separate section where you could have all your futures there because it's not going to be graded till 2023. So that's that. In hockey, Tampa survives elimination. Vasilevsky now, I think it's to 18-0 after a loss, playoff losses. They win in overtime 4-3. I have to admit I was wrong. The Wild and Blues series, the Wild opened up minus 168, and I just thought it was a trap that the Blues they were begging for Blues money, and they got it. I think the Wild closed at 138. The ECSI VIPs had Wild minus 138 in the series, and they actually closed last night as a favorite. And they just laid an egg. And if someone could, who's a nerd that's listening to this show right now, can someone please tell me by how many dozens St. Louis has outscored the opponent in the second period? They put up a field goal again yesterday in the second period. It is just maddening. I'd love to know what the coach is feeding these guys in between the first and second period, because they just come out, they score, and score some more. So they'll be sitting and waiting for the next round there. The Bruins, great effort, dominant 5-1. Now they head to Game 7 tomorrow against Carolina. The NBA, the 76ers go sent packing. And again, I feel for this group, this fans, because, you went through the Ben Simmons debacle. You go there. Now people are bringing up Jimmy Butler, now Ben Simmons, and now Harden, just an absolute no-show. And it looks like he's broken. Maybe an off season, just to refresh, to rejuvenate. They got talent there. They do. And I guess, all the fans, this is what they do. Fire Doc, whether it's today, tomorrow, Monday, whatever, fire him. Just next man up. Brown wasn't the answer. Doc Rivers isn't the answer. I mean, you want, if you could, you'd bring back Billy Cunningham. Okay. We always go to the coach, and you never take a look at the actual players that were involved. Now, this was kind of a unique year with the drama with the Ben Simmons. Embiid, just a monster. Maxey had a great year. Tobias, you guys got a lot of talent, a lot of talent. So I'd be real quick to pull that trigger on Doc there. And then Dallas, absolute boat race. CN7 over there as they Luca and company destroyed the Suns. So the NBA gets what it wants. And before I go into today's, must wins for our Celtics and stuff, let's bring them on. We're getting a little taste of the Windy City. Anyone that's been watching and following, Riley is being part of our weekly shows on Thursday, and now stepped into a co-host role with me for in the mornings with the Breakfast Bankroll when Scott isn't available. And we got some big things brewing for Riley down the road. So let's bring him in. From the Windy City himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my friend. How are things on your neck of the woods? I am, feeling good. I don't know where we even want to start today, my man. I mean, NHL playoffs has already been a crazy week, and we've got, 3 Game 6s tonight and 3 Game 7s tomorrow, and who knows what we've got on Saturday and Sunday. So I'm juiced, man. The NBA you mentioned is obviously rolling along. We've got some big games today, but I don't know wherever you want to start, my friend. It's been an awesome week and an awesome weekend ahead of us coming for sure.
Yeah, and it's only going to get busier next week. We got the 5th major, the PGA Championship. We got the Preakness, and of course the late-breaking news yesterday with the Kentucky Derby winner, Strike Rich, saying thanks, but no thanks. We're going to get ready for the Belmont, which was a pretty damn smart move anyways. So he gets the hype for another 5 weeks now, or 4 weeks, however long it is. So I think that's comical. Yeah, so many places to start. Let's just get a temperature. The Palos, the South Side. You guys have, you're doing it. I was on the show yesterday. My eyes was attracted to Cease First 5. I left it on the desk. I didn't touch it. I'm not going to go into that freight train of the Yankees right now. And as someone put up there, the Bears beat the Jets 14-7 or something like that. So just give us a temperature. What's going on out there?
Yeah, it's. I'll keep it short and sweet as opposed to what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. It's still some optimism. This week has been weird though. We've obviously, like you said last night, 14-15-7, whatever it is. After we had an awesome, Moncada has his biggest moment of his, the first week of his return, hits the 3-run tying shot, and we feel like we've got ourselves a game on our hands. And then Joe Kelly, 5 pitches, 2 outs to start I think it was the 8th inning, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the 7th. I'm honestly blanking that. I'm trying to wipe that away from my memory. And then obviously falls apart, walks the bases loaded, and then the rest is history. And then obviously, I don't remember which day it was, Tuesday or Wednesday, you blow this 6-run lead or whatever it is in the 9th to Josh Naylor himself, basically. And so it's been a weird week, but the optimism that is coming from me is, despite those couple of games, those 2 rough losses, we scored 9 runs and 7 runs last night, where the offense had been the problem, obviously, for that rough 8-game losing streak or whatever it is. So there's a lot of optimism. As far as Cease is concerned, I've always said that, now it was control that he's got to figure out. It looks like he's been figuring that out. Now it's showing up on those, even if it's a regular season game, just the games that have a little bit more, slightly bigger games to them, like these games with the Yankees, or like a game with a divisional opponent that might be close at whatever time it is. Because over the last couple of years, that's been the spot where he's really, really struggled. And last night was weird because I think he had 11 strikeouts through however many innings he pitched. So last night was a weird case, and obviously Stanton was the one who put up a couple home runs against him. So jury's still out as far as that for me, as far as if he can show up in these big games. But aside from that, I'm feeling optimistic. Like I said, we get Moncada back this week. Andrew Vaughn hit 2 home runs in AAA in a game yesterday, and he should be coming back. Lance Lynn over the next few weeks. Got good news about Eloy Jimenez coming back. So a lot of optimism. And as we were kind of talking, and I predicted, the Twins are already starting to decline a little bit. They kind of ran into the red-hot Astros, so maybe that's all that was. But overall, I'm feeling pretty optimistic here.
I saw a clip, and again, I think this is a lot of banter. I think this is a lot of just stirring the pot. And again, we don't have to spend a lot on it, but I just wanted to get, if you're hearing anything, that, I think our last time we brought up Zach Levine, he was gone. Thanks for playing. There was no way in hell. Yada, yada, yada. And then I hear this week that the Bulls are in play. What are you hearing?
As far as Zach Levine, I think he comes back because I don't know what other options they have. And that's kind of been the conversations, whether it's the Bulls or another team that's looking to strike big in free agency. This free agency summer isn't the same type of free agency summer where you have 3 to 5 of the top 20 players in the league on the market that can absolutely change the course of your franchise in the snap of the finger. That's not quite what we're going to see this offseason. And so if we're getting rid of Zach Levine, I don't know what the alternative is, honestly. And they've kind of crafted this team to where, with Vucevic, with Lonzo Ball, those guys, and then obviously you can kind of plug into DeMar DeRozan, without really throwing off that, the scheme of your team. Taking out Zach Levine, I don't know where they go from there, and I don't feel confident in the options of replacing him, and I don't really think they're going to, after finally building up even just a playoff contender, I don't think they're going to tear that down right away without any type of plan B. So unless they have a plan B, like maybe, the only name that really I think they could, kind of swap in and maybe it's a better course is maybe Bradley Beal, a guy that could be on the market this summer. It looks like he's going to be. Maybe he goes back. I don't know. But aside from that, I don't really know what alternative we have. So personally, as of right now, I do think he comes back. He had some knee injuries down the stretch. But aside from that, yeah, I kind of expect a similar season to what we just had if he comes back. And like I said, I don't know what the alternative is if he goes.
Schedule comes out for the NFL. Obviously, you're a big Cheesehead and Packer fan. I did hear week 4, the Patriots travel to Lambeau. I assume you've taken many, many looks at your schedule. What stands out? Anything of interest? Anything got you excited?
Yeah, nothing crazy. The biggest concern, I guess, is I think it was rest advantage or rest disadvantage. We've got one of the worst as far as that is concerned, so that's obviously a little bit of a concern. But aside from that, I mean, there's a lot of winnable games, especially when with how the FC is shaken out this year or this offseason going into this season. I'm pretty damn optimistic. Obviously, we were traveling to London for the first time. Actually, my birthday, so that's a weird early morning birthday treat for me on that day. And then, we've got 3 out of 4 road games right after that, and without really any rest. So that's really the biggest concern that I would say. Aside from that, as long as we take care of the division, win a lot of these games that we're supposed to, we've really only got a few that you have to, look at a few times with Tampa, Buffalo, and the Rams over here. So pretty damn optimistic, man, as far as taking the division down again. Like you were kind of saying, it's interesting to look at this stuff. I don't like to dive too deep into this because I don't want to, pigeonhole or one-track mind myself here in May before training camps roll out. So obviously, it's always exciting to get any type of NFL talk. But aside from that, not diving too deep into these things.
I heard this week, and I've heard some rumblings for some decent sources. I'd say it's a smart move. I could see this as a Packer move because, you just Packers being Packers, you fill in the holes with maybe an aging veteran, and then you can, hope and pray. Let's say November, he's ready. OBJ to the Packers. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I've been hearing, I don't know, it's interesting. It's aging veteran, but we've never really, as far as these skill positions, we've never really been in a huge market for these big name skill positions. So that's kind of unprecedented, whether it's him or Julio Jones. I've been saying.
I will tell you this. Do not bite the apple of Julio Jones. That guy.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And burned. He had a good little run in Atlanta. Tennessee bit the apple. I said that was the worst signing last offseason. And what I guess I meant with OBJ is the fact that he's going to be out for a few months. And listen, he really came into the Rams. Robert Woods goes down. And let me tell you, OBJ would have been the Super Bowl MVP if he did not get hurt.
Right, and that's kind of where I was headed with that. I kind of want that to happen. I've been saying for a few weeks now, even after the draft, that I still think the Packers have something up their sleeves as far as adding to this receiver room. I don't think this is the room that we're going into the season with. The hurdles is now we've got, I think, 7 guys after the draft that we quote unquote are, we like these guys that are our receivers in our room. So you probably have to get rid of one of those. And I don't think that's as hard as people are making it out to be. I think that's probably a good problem to have. But yeah, I think OBJ would be a nice option for us. I think the advantage that we have is that the market for these guys isn't crazy high right now, and so we've got a little flexibility to wait as opposed to some of these other teams and get a lower price on whoever it is, and yeah, hopefully OBJ and not going over to the Julio Jones well, like you're mentioning, because I agree with that. But yeah, I think especially with that schedule, the way that schedule lays out, you don't really have any concern as far as OBJ coming in midway through the season. I mean, they were considering, along the Rams, they were considering bringing him in halfway through last season as well. They just didn't win the sweepstakes, obviously, right? So yeah, I think that's definitely a spot that you have to consider, because either way, if that's not it, you've got you're putting a lot of stress on Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, who was just coming into his first season, Brandon Cobb, who's been obviously a little inconsistent health wise and on the field. So I think it's a huge move to make. And like I said, if it's not that, I've been talking about they got something up their sleeve. I don't know what else it would be if it isn't that. So I think it has to be that there.
Big slate today. I don't know where you want to go, where you want to start. I just am going to bring the board up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to be courtesy of Sports Insights. I have not brought up a Sports Insights board here in a long time.
All right.
We have been with Sports Insights for a long time, basically grandfathered in. They're about 45 minutes away. This is the Sports Insights. You can check them out at sportsinsights.com. They're now Action Network, which a lot of people have the app and they get the daily stuff. But this is what I've been with these guys. It's, again, similar to some one-stop shopping where I got lineups when they come in, umpires, weather reports. I get ticket breakdowns, money lines, over-unders. And I got, what do I got up there? I got Circa, the Nugget, Heritage, FanDuel, DraftKings, yada, yada, yada. So you tell me which sport, and I can maneuver the board to wherever your eyes are seeing this morning.
Let's kick things off in the NBA. How's that sound? Obviously, only the 2 games today. Your neck of the woods with one of them. Not as far as the home court is concerned, but with this game, wow, the Action app I've got up actually has the wrong time listed for this one. So I'm not sure. I think that's the first one, but Boston and Milwaukee, I have to imagine is the first one. I'm still seeing -1.5 in favor of Milwaukee. Money leaning towards Milwaukee. I'm interested in the Celtics, though. I guess I'm curious. Do you have any thoughts that if you're interested in the Celtics, do you think this line is going to move at all, or if it's going to be stuck right at 1.5 here? Because I'm interested in the Celtics with a little desperation, obviously, a lot of desperation, obviously, and trying to push this to Game 7. That's kind of where my head's at so far with this one.
I'm going to start right away. Play devil's advocate for 1 second with you. Okay. If you like the Celtics today, they were 5.5-point favorites in Game 5 and blew it in the fourth quarter in the last 2 minutes. So if I asked you, if you like the Celtics today, do you like them to win Game 7 at the Garden?
I think I do. I think I do.
So I'm going to play a game with everyone that was listening, and this is called trying to outsmart Vegas, I guess is what I want to say here, because I'm on the Circa app right now. So Celtics +1.5 today. Okay. Celtics were favored by 5.5 in Game 5.
Right.
If the Celtics win today, they will play Sunday at the Garden, and I say they'll be 3.5-point favorites, maybe 4-point favorites.
Right.
So instead of taking the Celtics and 1.5 today, why don't you take the Celtics +210 to win the series?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. No, I think you're absolutely right. Because then, and if the Celtics win this one and they're favored in Game 7, then I would imagine you're getting the Bucks at plus money in Game 7 as well. Whether it's to win that game or obviously, well, I guess win the game and win the series. It's Game 7. So Yeah, I think your head's in the right spot with that. So is that where you're headed? Is that where your head's at, or is that just you playing devil's advocate? If I'm
No,
interested in the
no, no.
Celtics,
We after the Celtics lost game one, we jumped in at them at plus 130.
yeah,
We haven't touched the series since. So even if the Celtics won't be 5.5 game seven, they'll probably be four-ish. You're going to get the Bucks at least that are probably around a plus 150, maybe a 145. So if you locked in the Celtics right now at plus 210 and they win tonight, you're going to get, as soon as the line comes out, and let's say it's 3.5, you're going to get the Bucks plus maybe 145. You're guaranteed 45 cents
right.
if you
No,
get the game seven.
right. No, I think that's the way to go. Yeah, like I said, I'm interested in the Celtics tonight. Obviously, they've got Giannis himself, man. He scares me at home in a closeout game. I'll just be honest as far as that's concerned in tonight's case. But yeah, I'm interested in the Celtics in that sense for sure. I like it.
No, I agree. And again, I wasn't trying to get cute. I
No,
think the Celtics are in a great spot.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think Vegas is kind of leaning towards the Celtics here. And again, the NBA is praying the Celtics win because that gets them a game seven, obviously, on Sunday. But
Right.
Giannis, the freak, is a freak. And they're the defending champs. The Heat are waiting. Just something about this Bucks team. I'm not saying the Celtics aren't ready. It's
Right.
just that I think the respect factor for the Bucks. It happened last year, losing to Brooklyn. They come back and win that. They were down 2. They were down 0-2 to the Suns and didn't blink.
Right.
And they're the one defending champ that just gets no respect.
No, 100%. And as it boils down, the more you see it, it's you watching all these games, you kind of see that edge from them, and the Warriors have that in some senses with their championship experience, but they're just not as dominant as or they don't, even Steph isn't doesn't have that same type of control that Giannis does when he's really rolling. So yeah, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm pushing myself closer to the fence. But I really like the Celtics team, man. I wish they had a different draw and didn't have to run into this Bucks team because with the way Drew Holiday has been playing on defense, he steps up in these big games, man. So it's going to be a good one tonight. It's going to be a good one tonight for sure.
Anything on the Memphis and Golden State?
I think Golden State closes it out, but I'm as far as the 8, I honestly lean towards the Grizzlies plus the points in that one. But I think Golden State closes it out. I don't really have too much interest in playing this one, honestly. The Grizzlies obviously dominate in game game 5 as far as even it or getting it to 3-2. So I think Golden State comes back and win this one by 5 to 7 points, I'll say. So I'm interested in the Grizzlies if we're gun to my head on the spread here.
I have a sneaky suspicion that Golden State wants to duplicate what Memphis did to them in Game 6.
That's fair.
This could be one of those Stephs shooting from the logos by the second quarter, and
right.
as they get ready to roll. I have no feel for the game. I just
no.
That's where the head is. But
if you're playing that angle, you got not only the embarrassment of losing by whatever it is, close to 40, but you got the video of the dancers waving the towels around Steph. Whoop that trick. I mean, that type of stuff doesn't just slip out of his mind. This is typically the moment where he rises and does take control, as opposed to what I just said, and dominates a game like this. So maybe if you're interested in that angle, maybe there is something there with the Warriors.
Big slate and bases. I just want to scroll right down for one quick second. Cole versus Velasquez in your neck of the woods. Cole opened up minus 165 overnight, corrected to 182, 195 at DraftKings. We at ECSI kind of been going against Vince for a few games. Again, I'm not going to get involved in this game. I could see a lot of people playing some Cole minus the hook for the first 5 there.
Yeah.
But anything there or in the MLB today?
As far as that game, I don't really have anything with that one. I was looking at it. Tim Anderson and Abreu actually have some nice numbers against Garrett Cole. So if they can pace the offense themselves, and do some damage at the top of the lineup, then maybe we've got a chance. I just don't know what to expect from Velasquez. I'm not a huge fan of him either, but he's looked like a different pitcher over the last couple of games. But typically that's about the point where he kind of regresses back to the mean. So I'm staying away from that one for sure. One that I was interested in monitoring a little bit earlier on the slate is Milwaukee and the Marlins. Corbin Burns, Pablo Lopez, both of those guys have been really good. Marlins been pretty solid against righties at home. That line's just been doing a little bit of a roller coaster from where I saw it. I think opened up around minus 165, down to 135, back up to 150, 155. And where I was seeing it, there was a couple spots that had some big money on the Marlins. I think DraftKings tracker had like 89% of the handle on the Marlins. So I didn't have strong thoughts on this one. I was at least interested in monitoring this one. Maybe the Marlins have some value, but at the end of the day, Corbin Burns has been pretty damn solid. So I might stay away from this one altogether. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is a great matchup with Burns versus Lopez. Miami stealing it last game against Arizona, comes back home facing Corbin Burns, which is no small challenge.
No.
Overnight circa at 134. Opened it up this morning at 146, as high as 154 now at FanDuel. And I could see both sides here. It's Friday. We always say it's Fade the Public Friday.
Yeah.
It's payday. The actual eye test value would be to take a swing with Pablo and the Marlins. But, if Burns is cooking with Crisco, we know the woes that Miami has batting. So it could be a long, long day.
Right, and you and I have both kind of said as far as totals, something like that seems like it should be an easy under, but that's anytime where I walk myself into that, then we're sitting at now it's 10 to 9 because the bullpens gave up 5 runs each or something like that, right? The other game that I had somewhat strong red flag thoughts on is Houston and Washington. In Washington, Valdez versus Josiah Gray. Houston minus 155 despite a 10-game win streak, and I think the Nats are 11-22. Loads. If we're talking Fade the Public Friday, this is where my eyes were sitting, Jeff. As far as loads of money coming in on the Astros at the 10-game win streak, only at 155, minus 155 against a 4 out of the last 10, I think, for the Nats. So not very good, obviously. And to put it into context, Houston was minus 200 on Saturday versus Detroit with Valdez on the mound. Granted, it was at home, and obviously Detroit's struggling pretty hard, but I don't know. This one kind of ranks some red flags to me. I kind of like Josiah Gray just in general. I think he's poised to have a chance to have a nice day and maybe end this win streak here. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, we tried to get cute. I don't want to say cute yesterday because we weren't the only ones. Houston had the game semi-rained out the day before. So they come back and finish business 11-3, and then they come back 45 minutes later for game 2. And we had the Twins first 5 plus 105. Alvarez, not 1 but 2 homers. And they're a freight train right now. We talk about the Yankee freight train. Well, here comes the Astros as well. I think your eyes are spot on, though. That's a number that you would think would be a little higher. I know Scotty has been talking about Gray. Gray was brought over to the Nationals from the Dodgers in the Scherzer and Turner trade, and he's pitched pretty well of late. So good eyes there. I like where you're thinking.
Yeah, as far as like I said, you're right. This Astros team is a freight train, but if we're talking Fade the Public Friday, that's definitely one that lit up my eyes. Another one that I didn't have strong thoughts on, I was just interested to see this pricing especially after the conversations that you and I have had. Detroit and Baltimore. Detroit 9-23, but they're close to a minus 150 favorite here at home against the Orioles, who had been posted as favorites against a couple teams. I think the Royals, a team that's obviously ahead of the Tigers as far as the AL Central. I thought that Tigers would come out better than what they have this season. So is this just kind of reading through the tea leaves, the spot where maybe Detroit turns it on or maybe Baltimore falls off a cliff? Any thoughts on this one specifically here?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. My gut would tell me that Erod has had pretty good success against the Orioles. And Friday night home game, Baltimore, as you said, put up a good little fight against the Cardinals. The last game they got spanked around the first 2 games, But the
Yeah.
thought is here, and with two bad teams, when you see a number like this, my head would be Tigers first five minus the hook. You can probably get some plus money there. I give the initial pitch and lean an advantage to Erod.
Yeah, and then I think that's kind of the case as far as Erod having decent success, and then it looks like Jordan Lyles or this Tigers lineup has had some really nice success against Jordan Lyles himself. So I think this probably is a nice day for Detroit's offense here at home. And as the weather's warming up, we talked about it. Some of these games are starting to have some higher scoring numbers. So I think that's safe to say. The only other one I do not have a play on it, but I felt like I at least bared mentioning. Let's see, where's it at here? Colorado hosting the Royals. This one, I mean, if you're talking Fade the Public Friday, you should be interested in the Royals. I've been a huge proponent, especially after last season and historically, fade the Rockies on the road, take the Rockies here at home. They've been, again, really solid here at home, but Lions going down despite getting a lot of money. And Greinke on the mound for the Royals. I'm not taking the Royals because I don't really like Greinke and the Royals in this spot, but I don't think I'm willing to jump on the public train and ride to the window or lack thereof with the Rockies tonight. What about you?
Well, there's someone on Twitter, and I don't know if it's the SoCal DGen or it's someone else, that every time Freeland pitches at home, it's like an automatic underplay. So as we were speaking, it opened at 10.5, juiced over minus 110. Circa now has it 10.5, under minus 125. As we were speaking, DraftKings dropped it to a flat 10. So anyone watching and listening, maybe a little beer and pizza money on under 10 and a hook if your site has it right now with Greinke and Freeland. I want to say we've had some good success against Colorado this year. I do know a couple swing and misses that we had with them. So it's a game that an 8:40 start. I think my eyes would probably be in about the second to start of the third period with the Rangers in Pittsburgh. The Sox would be about 40 minutes in, Pavetta versus Dunning. But I will have the mix on DirecTV. So I will have 8 games going on.
Okay, I love it. Hey, I love that. It's been interesting. At Colorado, as far as the MLB, that's been one team that I feel like my radar has actually been pretty solid on when to take them, when to not take them, and I think Greinke's got some serious fade value in this one, but like I said, these red flags on the Colorado side of it is definitely keeping me away. I mean, you mentioned as far as the Red Sox and Rangers, Red Sox opening up as an underdog, or maybe I'm not sure if they opened up, if I'm being honest, but I know they're sitting as an underdog right now against Dane Dunning, who I think is due for some regression. Whether it's tonight or not, I don't know. He was obviously a former White Sox, so I'm not over the moon on him, but any thoughts as far as your Red Sox are concerned tonight?
Pavetta pitched lights out last game,
yeah.
and we had them first 5, and we couldn't get any runs. I think it was 0-0. Red Sox 11-20.
Yeah.
And Dunning and the Rangers are 13-17. Sox have had success. I want to say success in their bats usually wake up in Texas. They came off a 2-game set with Atlanta. They won the first game and again got walked off their last game against Atlanta. That is the 5th time this year they've been walked off.
Not only walked off, sorry to cut you off, they had the 3-2 bases loaded, 2 outs, ridiculously horrible call go against them that would have directly changed that game. So I personally was kind of thinking some nice momentum for the Red Sox despite that loss the other day.
Yeah, I heard some disturbing news locally yesterday. The Bogarts thing's not going to go away. They talked about the Cardinals, the All-Star break. They're already double-digit games back.
Right.
And you got 2 other guys, big money guys that are on their walk years, JD Martinez and Evaldi. So they basically said in a nutshell, if at the All-Star break, let's say they're 20-plus games back, you could literally move all 3 of those, and you would get such boatloads of players,
right,
meaning young players that you throw in the farm system, that you could replenish your farm system in 1 year. And they got some kids ready to come up as it is, Cassis and a few others. So the summers go so well when the Sox are playing well here,
Yeah.
and we're in for a dark, gloomy summer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I guess is that where obviously you hope for them to be a lot better because they're in an interesting spot. I feel like to where you're right, they could absolutely do that in maybe a week as far as restructure the next 5 years of their franchise. Or they're also at a spot where, despite whatever happens this season, they're in an off season where maybe they could reload and build a team back up. What side of the fence do you fall on as far as that is concerned?
I think both. And what was disturbing to me was this: is I said 2.5, 3 weeks ago when they moved Whitlock to the starting rotation on Saturday before they had to go to Toronto. Okay. What had happened was Houck wasn't vaccinated, so he couldn't make a start. So they moved Whitlock back to the starting rotation. He pitched on that Saturday, and then 5 days later had to face Manoah on that Wednesday. And they've left him in the rotation ever since. And this last game was supposed to be his game to get him through 5 or 6 and 100 pitches. Well, he lasted 3 innings and 89 pitches, and it wasn't a good outing. It is so glaring. They need to get him out back into the bullpen where he can get 2 or 3 outings a week versus every 5th day. So if the Sox are, I'm going to sound like I never say this, but if the Sox are, they're not intentionally losing, but the fact is they're not putting their team in the best position to win. And so if all of a sudden you're down 20 games at the All-Star break, well, if you're not going to re-sign Bogaerts, you've already made that known. You went to bed with Story. So you're not going to just wait till the end of the year where you're out of it and let Bogaerts walk. So you got to get something for him. And then you're not going to re-sign Evaldi. You're not going to re-sign JD Martinez. With the DH in the NL, there's 30 teams that can sign JD. And you've seen what Evaldi can do in the playoffs.
Right, and I mean the way that's going, because it almost has to happen now as far as the turnaround, if that's what we're talking about, to avoid that basically, and maybe this obviously they're not going to throw up the red flag on Monday, but maybe this Texas series is either the turning point or lack thereof turning point to the season. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because they're also a team, not to keep going, but they're also a team that can kind of, if they do go that route of rebuilding, they can also kind of add some guys in the offseason to make it, make it not a dumpster fire rebuild, or maybe not a dumpster fire rebuild, a dumpster fire season or two, as far as a lot of teams are concerned, as far as teams that go the rebuilding route like that. My White Sox did it for 3 years before 2019, before they turned the corner finally. It was a rough 3 years of surviving through a rebuild. But yeah, I don't think the Red Sox typically like doing that for more than one season as far as that type of season. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, and if you look at their past history, they've had a great year, bad year, great year, bad year. Yeah. I think they had 3 straight every other years, worst to first, worst to first, worst to first.
Yeah,
so
it's wild.
It will definitely be interesting. The one game that I want to bring up here that really caught my eyes, I think it's the game of the day. Toronto at Tampa, Gosman, who has just been Cy Gosman versus Rasmussen. And Gosman is favored. He opened at -120, now -129 at Tampa. Jay's struggling. A team that was expected by most to be a top or be battling the top, and they're kind of floundering as the Yankees are just running and hiding. Thoughts on Gosman versus Rasmussen?
Yeah, I mean, by first look, I'm a little interested in Toronto, but as you mentioned, and they're still on the road. They've lost 4 straight on the road, 2 to Cleveland and 2 to the Yankees. Haven't cracked, or I guess they've cracked 3 once. They had 5 to 6 lost a couple days ago. But Tampa also hasn't been fantastic either. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 and haven't cracked. I think it was 2 days ago they won 4-2. Aside from that, there was 1 run scored, 3 runs scored, 0 runs scored. So you kind of have 2 offenses that are stumbling a little bit this week. So based on that type of pricing, I am interested in Gosman on Toronto's side of it. Maybe they get this monkey off the back of their offense. But I like Rasmussen at least for the first few innings. So. I might be interested in Toronto for the full game as opposed to the first 5 in this one. I'm not sure, though.
I agree. I think that's a great spot. I love where your eyes are there. Another good matchup, San Diego with Darvish at
Yeah.
Atlanta with Freed. Overnight number of 140 up to 154, 165 at DraftKings. Again, I think most people's eyes would be attracted to Darvish
Yeah.
at such a big price. For me, I'm kind of wired where Vegas is like begging for you to take the Padres,
Yeah.
and this is an Atlanta Freed box to wire.
Right. I really like Freed, and I'm wondering, I mean, obviously we talked about that. I can't remember what the outcome was last week with Darvish kind of having a similar head scratching line pricing for them. So obviously that's 2 times in a row, I think, unless that's 2 out of 3 times. But regardless, I really like Max Fried. So yeah, I'm not taking the Padres on that number, because not only that, but you also have, they're still 20-12. It's not like they've had some serious struggles or anything like that. Atlanta's 15-17. They're not beating the doors off anybody right now. So that pricing's got me real interested in the Braves for sure. I laying that amount of chalk was a little hard for me to do, because I don't have the confidence that they're gonna win this one easily. You know what I mean?
NHL tonight, Florida, Washington. It's been one hell of a series.
Yeah.
Hats off to Washington. Geez, they, you were, you could taste it.
Yeah.
It's up 3-0 in
Oh,
Florida. The game before you should have won, and you just missed the empty netter. We talked about that earlier this week. Then you come back with a vengeance, up 3-0 against Florida. And this Panther team did it all regular season, but this is the playoffs. We send out about 25,000 emails a day to potential new customers, and our freebie was the Panthers in regulation. And let me just tell you, I probably got 24. Nice pick there, ECN. Jeff, great one. Wink, wink.
yeah.
And do you know what? Of those 24 plus people that sent me an email, not one person sent me an email back and congratulated me on the 5-3 regulation win.
Right. 100%. And that's typically the way it goes. But yeah, it seems like NHL playoffs, there's a little bit more of even from the people trying to pick these games and handicap these games, there's more of an intensity on some of these NHL games is kind of the vibe I get. I don't know about you.
I agree. And we're sitting there with Pittsburgh at a pick 'em against the Rangers to win the series. Pittsburgh up 2-0 in game 5. And Sid the Kid goes down, doesn't come back. Rangers come back and win 5-2 or 3, I think the final score is. This is what's intrigued me and bothered me the whole series. Rangers favorite at Pittsburgh game 3, lose. Rangers favorite at Pittsburgh game 4, lose.
Right.
Rangers win game 5 back at Madison Square Garden. Rangers come back for game 6 and are favored again. I'm going to sit and watch and pray that we catch the Pittsburgh ticket to win the series. We had the Leafs ticket to win the series last night. And of course, Tampa wins that one in overtime there. And the last game, Calgary, Dallas. Calgary's the better team, but the Oettinger guy has just been like Ken Dryden, Patrick Roy, whatever name you want, Grant Fuhr. The kid has just been lights out.
Right. And I probably, gun to my head, say the Flames close this one out tonight, I think. But, I'm not the hockey guy. I don't want to talk out of my ass too much here. But, yeah, for the most part, I've been enjoying these. Toronto and Tampa, with assists from you has been probably the one I've been most locked into, along with the Wild and Blues kind of in my, rivals of the Blackhawks, kind of in my neck of the woods a little bit there, with the Blues closing it out last night. But as far as tonight, I'm just excited. I think the Rangers, gun to my head, just by these pricings, I gun to my head think the Rangers get this one tonight, and then the Penguins finish it off in 7. That's kind of where my head is at with that one. But I don't know that I am confident in it to the point where I'm going to put any money down on it. These games are so enjoyable to watch, man. It might be a little. Maybe not even pizza and beer money, maybe a little laundry money to try and win some pizza and beer money tonight.
I agree. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. Again, it's Fade the Public Friday. We do that anyways every day. But the story that I tell every Friday is that people, 95% of the world gets paid today. So what ends up happening is that, in the back of your mind, you get the cable bill, you got your cell phone bill, you got whatever bill that needs to be paid, and you're looking at your check after Uncle Sam, and you're like, holy shit. So you call up the wife and say, hey, hon, I'm going to get the pizza for the night. We're going to bring it, I'm going to bring it back home. We're going to sit back and watch Netflix all night. And she bites for that one. And then what ends up happening is you run to your local casino or you go to your local watering hole or your barber shop and you place a lot of wagers on favorites and overs today. Favorites and overs. When in doubt, favorites and overs.
Yep.
And then at 11 o'clock, the wife calls up and says, hey, hon, what's going on? And you're like, oh, shit, I ran into a couple buddies from work. I'm on my way home. Then you get home at 11:35 and the wife goes, where's the pizza? And you're like, oh, shit, it's still on the oven. And meanwhile, you already lost the 7 o'clock games. You lost the 8:30 games, and you were sticking around for the West Coast games, and they're not doing too well. So you limp back home and you sleep on the couch.
Yep, or you gotta resort to the $5 hot and sweaty at the old Little Caesars as opposed to your your $20, $25 extra large 3-topping pizza. You know what I mean? So, for me personally, the NBA was probably that's always been my most successful Fade the Public Friday, and I think when we're getting into the playoffs of NBA and NHL, it really amplifies, in my opinion.
I agree. All right, so everyone, myself and Scotty will be back around 5:30, 6 o'clock for the closing bell. And tomorrow morning, myself and Scott will have a breakfast bankroll. And after the show, I'm going to talk to Riley, see if he's available Sunday morning, so we can get everyone ready for the last day of the week. And then we jump into Monday. Busy, busy week, as I already said at the beginning of the show. So, remember this, if you are wagering today, tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Riley care. We'd like to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Have some fun. Put a smile on someone else's face. Try it. It's not bad. We'll see you soon.